Brand Finance City Index has named Cape Town as Africa's best city brand. The new ranking put the mother city 60th on the global list and Johannesburg 72nd. Now, the study, which was conducted last month in 20 countries worldwide, is presented by brand evaluation consultancy Brand Finance. To tell us more about the survey, I'm joined by David Haigh, who is the chairman and CEO of Brand Finance Africa. Thank you for making time for us, David. Let's start with the city of Cape Town. What made it stand out as the best on the continent?
Well, let me explain the dimensions of the study first. I mean, first of all, we look at how familiar people in those 20 countries are, and we ask 15,000 people. We then ask about the overall reputation and whether the individuals would consider living, working locally, working remotely, studying, retiring, just visiting or investing in that particular city. So there are quite a few dimensions. And then against that, we ask a number of different questions around different areas that might affect their decision one way or the other. So we call them pillars, and there are 45 questions. And they look at things like, what is the environment for business and investment? What is it like for livability? What is it like for culture? People and values, sustainability, governance, and education. So we look at a lot of different aspects in a lot of different countries. And the purpose of this is to get a forensic understanding of what people think of you around the world, which can then be used in policy making for things like foreign direct investment and tourism. And just to pick out a few of the highlights for Cape Town, for example, it comes 33rd in the whole survey for diversity and multiculturalism. It comes out 35th as an attractive place to set up an innovative new business. It comes 18th in growth potential, 18th for nice weather, of course, and 15th for affordability. So there are very many above average, very strong performances for Cape Town. Mm-hmm. The kind of downside for Cape Town is that because it's right down there at the southern tip of Africa, it's not seen as accessible as some cities, you know, like Istanbul or Dubai or London, for example. So accessibility is an issue, but as a place, it's considered good.
Yeah. So let's look at London now, because the index has named London as the best city brand in the world, followed by New York and Paris. And I was thinking, I would have thought New York or Paris probably gets this one. What were the highlights for London?
Yes, well, the reality is that they fight neck and neck. So New York was the first city in the world to actually have a branding campaign with the Apple campaign, I Love New York. All the other major cities have followed suit because there's so much economic wealth to be gained by developing the local brand. The thing about London is it's very central in terms of time zones. It's very, very good on transport, and it way outperforms on transport. But then on each one of the different pillars, whether it's culture and heritage or whether it's business and investment, there are all roads lead to London, basically. And a lot of people are very, very familiar with London, and it generally has a stable and a high reputation. So, New York, for example, at the moment is going through a bit of a crime wave. It's seen to be quite expensive. So there are various reasons why a great city like New York gets scored down, whereas London is just seen to be a very nice, livable, good business city.
And speaking of safety, I mean, that's always an important consideration for potential travelers, right? And I'm just wondering, when it comes to Cape Town, from the dimensions you mentioned and how you were measuring it, did that come up, this aspect of safety in the city of Cape Town?
Well, interestingly, I was just looking at those statistics because I assumed that would probably be one of the downers for Cape Town, because we here in the UK see various news articles when there have been incidents. But funnily enough, most people around the world give it a fairly average score. There are a lot of cities like Rio de Janeiro that are considered to be a lot more dangerous than Cape Town. So, it could do better than it is, and hopefully it will in the future, and that will power more tourism. But at the moment, it's by no means bad in terms of people's perception of safety and security.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Cape Town is, when you look at the continent, the most visited, great reputation, a consideration as a destination. What do you think the city, needs to do more to start competing for that top spot globally?
Well, I think all cities have woken up to the notion of branding and marketing. And the key issues with branding and marketing is segmenting your audience. And so, for example, if you look around the world, India, China, Nigeria, and the UAE all have very high levels of familiarity for South Africa. They also have very high levels of consideration to come there and either go on holiday or to set up a business there. So and you put your money behind the low-hanging fruit. So therefore, that would suggest that Cape Town ought to be targeting those kind of markets, looking very closely at our research. I was really quite surprised, actually, at the relatively low level of awareness of Cape Town amongst various European audiences, particularly London, because we've had such a close relationship for so long. I thought it would be right sky high. But I suppose the reality is that, it's many decades since Britain was that intimately involved in South Africa, and many people in Britain are just not familiar. So certain key markets like that, which are influential and instrumental in business and investment and tourism, South Africa needs to beef up its marketing and its advertising campaigns. And so this is a useful study to make sure you don't waste money. You pick on the areas where you think you will get the highest return.
Yes, and focus on the key market as well. Johannesburg, let's talk a little bit about Johannesburg. I saw it came 72nd. What informed it being ranked at that level?
Well, I mean, clearly it does extremely well on business and investment and governance and so on. So on the left brain things, Johannesburg is doing a lot better. But, Cape Town is obviously a place for tourism and more, greater livability. Some of the aspects like security are worse. Some of the, things that people would want if they were to come to a city, the transport around the place are not as deemed as attractive as Cape Town. But I mean, it's not doing badly at all. There are only 3 countries in Africa in our study. It came third, and it's in there amongst the top 100 cities in the world. So it's by no means doing badly. And the sort of thing that it ought to do is the same kind of policy issue that Cape Town should do. Find out where the weaknesses are, see whether they can be addressed, and find out where the most attractive markets are and market to them in order to get inbound trade and activity.
Yeah. David Haigh, thank you. This has been insightful. I appreciate your time on Newsfeed PM.